Hello everyone and welcome back to Mini Phoenix Gaming. Today we're going to be doing a Mass Effect sqadmates tier list. But before we get started, I just wanted to go over a few things. Over the past few weeks, it's been a while since I've uploaded. I've been playing Oblivion Remastered and the review should be coming out this week. I'm currently writing it. And then after that I'm going to be doing a couple of videos based on Oblivion Remastered and then possibly doing a Let's Play. It depends if you guys want me to do that or not, but that's on the table. In regards to the Final Fantasy 13 review, I'm on chapter 11 on there. I haven't even started writing that yet. That could be another month or two, but that video is probably going to be about half an hour long because there's that much to cover on it. Anyway, if you like what we're doing here, please consider subscribing. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and in the next video, which will be the Oblivion Remastered, there'll be a big announcement, so please stay tuned for that. So, in regards to this tier list, we've got S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier, and throw them out the airlock. Can you guess who's going in that category? Comment down below. Let's see if you get it right. So we'll start off with Garrus. In 2186, the definition of the word bro was changed simply to mean Garrus. And as Shepard says himself in Mass Effect 3, there is no Shepard without Vakarian. And on top of that, he romances Tali in Mass Effect 3 if Shepard isn't with her, so S tier. Thane. Thane's an interesting character with a combination of his assassin work and how that links into his religious beliefs being particularly interesting. He's very open about the mistakes of his past in regards to his wife, and this comes back to bite in his loyalty mission with Kolyat. It's a very strong relationship with Shepard, which makes his ending in Mass Effect 3 very sad. I'm gonna say B tier for Thane. Let's see how that sounds. Next up we have Grunt. Grunt has a really interesting backstory and loyalty mission, with him being tank bred and the conflict that causes within Clan Erd not being very good. His progression between 2 and 3 is really good, with him going from this adolescent to the leader of this legendary platoon in 3. Good relationship with Shepard, and that dynamic with him is sort of being like a father and son type thing. He even offers to sacrifice himself so Shepard can escape in 3. For me, he's going in A tier. Now, I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for this, but Liara's not going in S tier. Liara's a very well written character throughout the series, peaking in the Lair of the Shadow Broker DLC, where the shy girl from Mass Effect 1 becomes this leading information broker in the galaxy. Her progression throughout the trilogy is very good and has by far the most character development in the series. However, what knocks it down for me is it seems the developers try and force the relationship with Liara a bit too much. Even if you're not in a romantic relationship, there's some scenes which make absolutely zero sense if you're not in a romantic relationship with her. So for me, A tier. Okay, so next up is Jack. She has a great depth of character, great backstory going from like her childhood and that whole situation. It's very good how she progresses from powerful biotic but with no real direction to teaching biotics at Grissom Academy and learning to care about others. Really strong biotic as well, so very useful in game. A tier. Jacob. By far the worst character in this list. He's boring, which is made worse by the game introducing him as the new bro character, then giving you Garrus. Compared to the rest of the Mass Effect 2 squadmates, he's very poor in terms of skill. His relationship with Fem-Shep is by far the worst in the series. He's the only character that cheats on Shepard, insults most of the crewmates when they come aboard the Normandy, blamed for being an assassin when he's a gun for hire himself, telling a Quarian to introduce herself to the ship's AI, which is clearly going to go down well, which is made worse by the fact that his character's meant to be this new nice guy, but the character's a complete prick. His advice is completely useless, telling Shepard to do things that will get half the crew killed, like going after the IFF straight away, or telling the player to go straight through the Omega-4 relay, which can get members of the squad killed. The only bit of good advice he gives in the game is volunteering to go through the vents of the collector base because it gets him killed. He's getting thrown out of the airlock by Javik.
Where is the airlock so I may throw you out of it?
James. He's just a bog-standard human character with very little personality. However, he does have a semi-interesting backstory. No real character development, however, this would always be difficult given the fact he's introduced in the last game, whereas others like Garrus have had 3 games worth of character development. Plus, you already have a connection with these other squad mates, so he's probably significantly less used by players due to being a new character. D tier. Then again, Javik. The perfect example of adding a character in the final game of a trilogy but fleshing them out properly. However, I do wish he was there in an earlier game so you had a deeper connection with him. He's a very funny character. Unfortunately, the DLC for the original release of Mass Effect 3 meant that only a portion of players were able to use him. Because basically what happened was, Javik was a specific day 1 DLC for only for certain players, so yeah, it was a bit of a mess really. He subverts expectations on what you expect a Prothean to be. For me, A tier all the way. Caden. Only about 40% of players save the guy. That should tell you all you need to know. Frankly, he's boring, doesn't have any real progression. It feels like the developers knew most people would save Ashley, to be honest. But yeah. D tier. Kasumi. Good character, unfortunately you don't get to learn enough about her. Really good loyalty mission, and mission in 3 is quite interesting as well. One of the few characters that are fully Paragon. C tier. Okay, so next up is Legion. Really interesting character, however, for me, you don't really spend a lot of time with him in 2, but there was the foundations for a really interesting character there, especially the dynamic with him and Tali and their different perspectives on the Morning War. Should I make a video on the Morning War? Comment down below. However, in 3, his progression leads him to becoming a full individual before his death, referring to himself as I. It was really interesting to have a Geth character, so for me, A tier. Ashley. Actually quite like Ashley. If you're a Paragon, there's a clear progression of a character going from someone who's frankly rude and semi-prejudiced against aliens, and this definitely shifts as you progress your relationship with her. Has an interesting family history with the links to the First Contact War. Video in the comments down below. However, she can be very annoying, especially early on in Mass Effect 3, where she doesn't shut up about Shepard's affiliation with Cerberus, and she quite frankly makes you want to join the Reapers. C tier. Miranda. Okay, so Miranda, I'm going to be in the minority, but I have a few issues with her character. For me, the pacing feels way too quick at the start of Mass Effect 2, from this cold towards Shepard to very friendly in the space of one mission. For me, it doesn't make much sense, and feels out of character from everything everyone tells you about her being this ice queen. However, she is a very good character with an interesting dynamic with Cerberus, her family, and her relationship with Shepard in 2 through 3 is very good, as she lets her guard down and lets Shepard in. So, B tier. Mordin. At first, the player thinks he's this crazy scientist, but his backstory is a shock to the system with how he worked on the genophage modifications and actually being able to debate him on this. Probably the squad mate you talk to most in 2, due to him being the tech lab, so you have more interactions with him than the other squad mates because you have to go there to get upgrades for the ship. Makes amends for his mistakes in 3, curing the genophage in one of the saddest moments in the series. S tier. Samara. Samara's a good character that gets overlooked, primarily because she can't be romanced, so people don't really talk to her that much. However, her character is really interesting and has a lot of depth, just because of basically just paladins. Her biotics are very powerful, but being 600 years old, you would expect her combat abilities to be way above anybody else on the squad. Quite an average loyalty mission compared to the others, but her backstory is interesting. C tier. ED. I'm going purely on the... In fact, no. Fuck it, we'll do the whole thing. ED's an okay character, basically just the ship in 2, but still quite an interesting dynamic with Joker. So, C tier. Tally. She's by Shepard's side throughout the entire trilogy and always has her back, developing from a girl on a pilgrimage to the Admiral of the Migrant Fleet. Your gateway into learning about the Quarian people is through Tally. Goes from being anti-Geth to being able to broker a peace and returning the Quarians to Rannoch. S tier. Not really up for debate. Rex. It's a shame he wasn't a squad mate in Mass Effect 2 and 3. Rex is a great character, very different from pretty much all the Krogan. With his leadership, leading the Krogan to getting a cure for the genophage and actually working with the rest of the galaxy, which is something that none of the other leaders would be able to do, as we see with Reeve. If you are a monster and kill Rex in 1, if you do this, you're a monster and I hate you. S tier. Zaid. People seem to like Zaid's backstory, but there is a major plot hole with his story, with him supposedly founding the Blue Suns when he was 15 years old, which makes absolutely no sense because I doubt a group of murdering mercenaries would let a literal child lead them. It gets worse because apparently he served in the Alliance before becoming a mercenary, so his story makes no sense. He's very one-dimensional, however his voice acting is very good. Robin Sachs did a very good job, but he's going in D tier. Okay, so that's my tier list for the Mass Effect squad mate. Let me know what you think. I will leave the link to the squad mate tier list thing in the comments. Because I can't put it in the description because YouTube is a pain in the neck. If you enjoyed what we're doing here, please like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you next week for the Oblivion Remastered review. Cheers, peace.